Hello, this is Kat, dietitian with Legacy Health, and today we're going to talk about meal planning. Let's get started. So, here are our objectives today. We're going to discuss why we want to make more meals at home and the barriers to doing that. We're going to do a basic culinary assessment and discuss tips and considerations when you want to start meal planning and are unsure where to begin. And we'll even view some examples of meals and strategies for planning and preparation. Things that we will not be doing today are discussing prescribed meal plans. Prescribed meal plans, in my experience, just do not take into an account an individual's health, their lifestyle, their preferences. And when you don't address these individual factors, the meal plans are difficult to execute, enjoy, and sustain. So, my goal with this presentation is to empower you with simple skills, ideas, and information that hopefully will be more effective in helping you get healthy meals on the table. So let's start with, why is this important? Why do we want to make more food at home? Well, we can save a good amount of money. Based on numbers from 2019, things have changed a little bit with the pandemic and inflation. The average American household spent nearly $300 a month on dining out. When we make more food at home, we not only can save money, but we can improve our health, because even the healthy options that are available at restaurants are larger portions. They often have hidden sugars, unhealthy oils, and lots of sodium. Preparing food at home gives us more control over the ingredients, the portion sizes, and the flavors we want to experience. These are some common barriers that I hear from folks on why it is difficult to do more meals at home. Time is a big one, money, cooking skills, unsure what to make. Let's talk about these. First, let's talk about this big issue of time. I really like to encourage the people that I work with that making time for health is an investment in our future selves, and we will never find the time. We actually have to really look at things and make the time. So we can kind of consider, where are we spending all the time that we have? Are we using time to look at social media and screens? Poor planning often takes more time than it would take if we had a plan in place and executed it. I really encourage people to be realistic about the time that it will take to make a meal. Sometimes we worry longer about not having the time than it actually would take to do the thing we need to do. And choose recipes that are appropriate for the time that you have. A lot of the apps that we have to shop at home can be time savers. You can put in your order on the app and pick it up on your way home. Also, using those apps can help stick to the list and avoid some of those impulse buys that we might get sucked into when we're at the store, which can help us save money and make healthier choices. Keep in mind, as we're going through all of this, guys, that meal planning is a skill. It gets easier with practice. So don't be too hard on yourself. Start simple and enlist the help of your family members or other people in the home that are eating meals with you. Also, with respect to time, I want to say that doing meal planning does not have to be a full day event. I think a lot of us think of, scheduling a whole day where we're going to plan all the meals for the week, where I actually think spending a little time each day can go a really long way. So we'll talk about what meal planning can really look like, and hopefully that'll relieve some of the stress of this idea of time being a limiting factor to making more meals at home. So, getting kids in the kitchen can be a time saver and it can really make meal preparation fun. Children love to be involved in cooking, and cooking teaches important skills like math, measuring, following a list of instructions, and most importantly, it connects our children to healthier foods. And for older children and teenagers, this can really help grown-ups save time and do a lot of those other things in terms of connection to our healthy foods. This is a wonderful age-appropriate participation guide for how we can get our children and family members in the kitchen. Some simple things that we can have them do and work on while we do other things. And for the older children, things that we can ask them to do, maybe if they're home from school and there's a little bit of time they might have to spare before dinner needs to be served and we're, finishing up our workday or whatnot. Another barrier I hear a lot of is that eating healthy is difficult on a budget. I really encourage people to prioritize healthy food in your spending plan. Better to pay the grocer than the doctor. I love that saying. And really thinking about investing in healthy food is an investment in our health. Wasting less can really help us save money. We can use bones and vegetable scraps to make broths. We can prepare smoothie jars with extra fruit, and really focused on color in our meals can help us save money. I encourage people to shop the bulk bins, especially for things like whole nuts and seeds, spices, whole grains, and whole grain flours, dried beans. Especially when you're just starting to cook more meals at home, it can be really helpful to buy smaller amounts from the bulk bin as you're learning what sort of ingredients you're going to use the most of and what flavors you really enjoy. Buy local and in season when possible, guys. Fuel costs money. We know this. And really think about what are your food miles and how do they contribute to the cost of that food. Local and in season are usually tastier too. I love using our local library to check out cookbooks. And here is a link to a free cookbook that is wonderful. Good and Cheap is a book on eating healthy for just a few dollars a day. And then be familiar with the different food assistance programs that are available. All right, some things to pay attention to and consider as you're getting started. How many meals are you currently planning, and what is your goal for planning? Start simple and be realistic, guys. So, if you're starting from scratch, not currently planning or preparing any meals at home, then maybe think about what meal needs the most attention. A lot of times it's that dinner meal because it's at the end of the day and we're often rushed and are tired. Also consider what are your goals for nutrition because you can really tailor the recipes that you're choosing around your goals. So, for example, your goal might be to reduce your meat intake and eat more vegetables. So, plan meals that emphasize vegetables and think about what resources you need to move towards those goals. Also, think about your budget and choose recipes that extend the budget. Really buy cost effective and versatile ingredients. We'll talk about a few of those things in a bit. And recipes that store well, especially if you're not opposed to eating leftovers. Some of the things we'll talk about freeze well or hold for 3 to 5 days. And then again, going back to time, be realistic about how much time you can spend and choose recipes that really are appropriate for that amount of time. This picture here is some broccoli stalks. So, just going back to what I was saying about less waste and saving money, broccoli stalks are loaded with nutrition and make a really tasty salad or roasted vegetable. Okay, a culinary assessment. This is a way to just really look at your pantry and assess the situation and determine your starting point. So, these are some simple steps that you can do to assess your culinary resources in your own home and consider what are your flavors that you like? What feel foods do you feel confident preparing? Because you really want to capitalize on those things. What appliances do you have available? And we'll talk about gadgets in a few minutes. What ingredients are available for you to purchase. You really need to consider your budget, again, your preferences, and using those bulk options when you're able to, and the seasonable availability of those ingredients can really help improve the flavor and save some money. So, some starting tips to make more meals at home: capitalize on fresh vegetables right after you purchase them. A lot of time I hear folks say, I buy a bunch of fresh vegetables and then they go bad before I can use them. So start your meals in the beginning of the week focused on those fresh vegetables so you can use those up earlier, and then as a backup you can have things like frozen options for the later in the week when you have less of the fresh stuff available. This picture of a salad spinner is there because I find it to be a really helpful gadget. You can make a large salad and hold it in that salad spinner. It holds the humidity in a way that keeps your salad fresh. You can also do something similar with a container and a paper towel, but a salad spinner could be a good purchase if you like to eat a lot of salads. Storing techniques can be really, really helpful in preventing waste. So, doing some simple things like keeping celery in water, carrot sticks in water, and holding greens and salads in the salad spinner. Again, frozen vegetables and fruits can be a less expensive option sometimes than fresh options. Also, you're going to have less waste with these and less time prepping, but you want to make sure you look at the ingredients and see just the names of the fruits and vegetables. I encourage folks to avoid things with added sugars and sauces because that can add some unnecessary ingredients that can impact your health. I really want people to build their meals around color because often it's those fresh fruits and vegetables that we have a harder time working into our meals. Produce boxes, produce delivery, like Organics to You or Imperfect Produce, can be really, really helpful to create meals around color. Um, it's often easy for us to add in protein. So take a look at some of these services and see if they might be right for you. Beans and grains are a great way to start. You can pick a whole grain for the week and add it to salads or bowls. And some examples of whole grains that you can buy in bulk and work really well for a lot of different recipes are quinoa, brown and wild rice, millet, barley, and farro. You can also pick a bean for the week, especially if your goal is to reduce the amount of animal foods or meats that you're eating. Beans can be a great option for a vegetarian protein. They're very versatile. You can add them to salads and bowls. They're a really budget friendly protein. So, dried beans are the most affordable and the least sodium, but you can use canned beans and just rinse them off really well to help reduce the sodium in those. This can also help you increase your fiber and reduce your saturated fat. Black beans, lentils, navy beans, chickpeas, some unique things like adzuki beans might be something you might want to look into that are really versatile. Kidney beans are really popular. If you have any digestive issues with beans, you might want to try smaller beans for easier digestion. Try to keep some of these staples that we're talking about stocked, like canned tomatoes, canned fish and broths, the frozen fruits and vegetables, dried whole grains and dried beans, and your favorite cooking oils and spices. Stock the healthier convenience add-ons, things like frozen patties, turkey burgers, salmon burgers, or even veggie burgers. Cauliflower rice is a really versatile add-on that can help add some color to a meal and reduce the refined carbohydrates. And then always have a backup meal, an emergency meal that you know you can throw on the table in 15 minutes. If you're just starting to build your pantry, consider buying one staple per week or per paid paycheck that you get. That can help you build up the stock of these staples. These are just some more photographs of some of the staples that I keep on hand in my kitchen. Um, Frozen fruits and vegetables, my go-to spices, easy add-on frozen proteins, and my favorite things to make salads, salad dressings, and sauces out of. Do you need gadgets? Well, not really, especially if you're just getting started. Um, I want to encourage you not to spend a lot of money on gadgets because you might not know exactly what you're going to need or how you're going to use it. So start cooking first, then see what you need. Some of the basic tools that I think can come in handy are listed here, as well as more intermediate and advanced tools that can be really, really helpful. Use leftovers creatively. One head of cabbage, endless meals is sort of how I would summarize the next couple of slides. Here you see I have some simple roasted vegetables. In the top middle, we have a roasted tricolor potato. On the right top, butternut squash for a lower carb and anti-inflammatory option. And then on the top left, that's some roasted, or it wasn't roasted yet, but getting ready to be roasted broccoli and purple cabbage. And I made endless meals with these things. On the bottom left, you'll see a ground turkey bowl, which is a simple work night meal. And you can ask older children to cut vegetables and put them in the oven. If they are comfortable doing so. And then the prep time for this meal is pretty minimal, and the active cooking time is just as long as it takes to brown up that turkey and get the vegetables out of the oven. The salad that you see on the bottom right is an example of me shopping my refrigerator. So I had some leftover vegetables from my produce box that you see pictured in the bottom middle, the fennel, purple cabbage, celery, carrots, and radishes. And I added some mustard, apple cider vinegar, a little bit of avocado mayonnaise, and my leftover ground turkey, and voila, I had a wonderful, yummy, protein and color packed salad. You can use leftover roasted vegetables in a frittata. That takes less than 30 minutes. And I let my daughter, who was 5, crack and whisk the eggs. She was also able to tear up the kale and get that ready to be washed. And then I just added simple sauteed kale on the side with a little bit of lemon and avocado to make a really yummy family meal that extended into my lunchbox the next day. You see on the bottom right, leftover sauteed kale and a nice wedge of that protein and color frittata. I like to always think about healthy, strong, color-focused kids' plates. So these stainless steel divided plates are great when you're at home, especially for younger kids and kids at heart that kind of like their food divided. It also helps add the variety in there. There's lots of simple color here. There's some plant-based proteins coming from almond butter and hummus. Lots of color as you see. You can also get stainless steel divided lunch boxes and apply the same concepts there. Salads and bowls. Basic bowl ingredients would be to get a whole grain, a protein, which could be fish, poultry, beans, eggs, whatever you like. Add vegetables, and if you want a sauce, you can add that in. So earlier we saw an example of a bowl with the ground turkey and roasted vegetables. Here are two different versions of a quinoa salad. On the far right, we have some leftover quinoa with added frozen vegetables and chopped tomatoes. Um, in the middle, that's more of a cold quinoa salad. And on the left, that was fire roasted tomatoes, kale, black bean, red onions. Um, Really yummy, simple, nutritious meals. Here are some more salads and bowls featuring salmon. On the left, we have some fresh baked salmon. In the middle, that is canned salmon. So, going back to some of the pantry staples that I was talking about earlier, canned salmon can be a really healthy fat, easy protein that you keep on hand and add to leftover salad ingredients. On the right, I've got that quinoa salad with the fire roasted tomatoes that I just added some beautiful romaine lettuce leaves and mashed up some avocado and put that on the top. Sauces made easy. I highly recommend getting familiar with some simple sauces that you can add to these bowls and salads. Pre-made salad dressings and sauces are one of the biggest sources of unhealthy fats, sodium, and added sugar. So find some go-to ingredients. My favorites are pictured here in the middle, and these are two different sauces that I regularly make at home. So on the left, that bright green sauce is chimichurri, which is a very versatile sauce that you can add to meats, bowls, salads, and vegetables. I used cilantro from my produce box. You can also make this with both cilantro and parsley or just parsley. I added a little bit of lemon, garlic, salt, and vinegar, and I blended it with some olive oil. You do need a food processor or a blender to make the chimichurri. On the right, I have one of my go-to hot or cold dressing options that are made with various spices depending on the flavors that I would like. But the base is made from lemon juice, apple cider vinegar, and tahini. If you're not familiar with tahini, it's the base of hummus. It's a sesame seed paste. It's a decent source of protein. It's a healthy, unsaturated fat, and it's a way to make a creamy sauce without adding a lot of fat. Soups are an excellent way for easy protein and color, and they hold well. In fact, a lot of times the soups that I make are better on the second or third day. So on the top left, you'll see my veggie trimming bag. When I'm chopping up vegetables, I grab my veggie trimming bag that I keep in my freezer and I put all my trimmings in there except for things like broccoli and cauliflower. You don't want to put a high sulfur or cruciferous vegetable in your veggie trimming bag, but onions, garlics, um, celery, celery leaves, carrot tops, all of that stuff can go in the veggie trimming bag. And when you get it full, you can make a wonderful broth. Same idea with saving bones from chicken that you might roast up, or maybe you had a rotisserie from the store one night. Save that chicken skeleton in the freezer in a bag, and make yourself a delicious healthy broth. um, Making soups at home and making your broths at home can really help cut back on sodium because canned soups and broth are loaded in sodium. um, for broths, I usually make a large batch and I get to freeze the rest. So that's what you see on the bottom left. I'm freezing quart jars of broth, and then I have that to go to when soup season comes around. I like to use an instant pot at this point to make broths, but I didn't always do it this way, so you don't need that gadget. And then here on the right, you see a really yummy vegetable soup that was made with adding vegetables, a little bit of canned tomatoes, and utilizing my homemade broth. I really want to encourage you to make your grill colorful. Kebabs are an excellent way to combine protein and color. So think about what vegetables you like on the grill. Asparagus, peppers, zucchini, onions, carrots, mushrooms are really, really good options, but there's lots of other things that people like and experiment with. Taco and pizza night, making these things at home can really be an easy, fun family meal. And when we make them at home, they're lower in sodium and we get more color into the meal. So these are a couple of my family favorites. Also, if you're new to cooking or trying to expand your repertoire, you could consider a meal kit. I think these are a great opportunity for learning cooking skills, basic cooking skills, for practicing following a recipe, and for exploring new flavors and new types of foods that you can make. It can be a fun opportunity for individuals and friends and families to get together and create the food from the box. A lot of the options like HelloFresh have a minimal commitment. You can cancel it at any time. There's tons of deals that they're offering all the time. So that can be something to experiment with. As we're wrapping up, I just want to consider some final thoughts and encourage you to be patient with yourself and start simple as you're exploring more meal planning and making more meals at home. Really think about what are the obstacles coming up for you to eating more meals at home. Be realistic and focus on the solutions to the obstacles. Be curious when you're thinking about all of this. Consider using tools to help you save money. We talked about meal kits and shopping apps. Get your family and friends involved, and remember, it does not have to be complicated, it just needs to be colorful. Thanks for being with me today. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Take care.